Welcome to the Punting is Winning podcast. Just two fans talking all things Hawkeyes. Here are your hosts, JD and Keith.
Punting is Winning, the All Iowa podcast. We're your hosts, JD and Keith, and we have a special guest here today. JD, I'll let you handle that.
Yeah, I met, this is our guest, Nick Brokel. I met him through another podcast, Talking Iowa Hawkeye Sports with Dean Frayne. And we kind of connected, and I thought, well, it'd be good to have him come on and just give his perspective of, you know, he's a Hawkeye fan, lifelong Hawkeye fan, just like we are. And we thought, well, it'd be good to get a different perspective as opposed to just the two of us. We thought, well, we bring somebody else in and let them talk. And we're happy to have Nicholas on with us. And if you want to give us a little background about yourself, that'd be great. And we can all learn about you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Hawk fans. I've been a Hawk fan born in 82, probably since about 4 years old. I can remember being on Melrose, getting those beef sticks, getting those Eros, and cheering on the Hawkeyes. I remember the Matt Rogers days, Nick Bell, up through the Tavy and Fries last year. Really wish that 97 season had been better, and have continued on. But since Kirk has come on board with Hawkeyes, we really dove in pretty much senior year of high school, and ever since then, I mean, just more focused, more detail oriented as far as what I know, remember, and love talking Hawks. Love seeing Hawk fans wherever I go too.
Yeah, there's plenty of us out there. Everywhere you go, there's a Hawk fan somewhere.
Yep. And you always can tell, and all you got to say is go Hawks, and you don't even need to do any more introduction. You're already buddies.
Exactly. We're already buddies.
Outside of the country, all I hear is Caitlin Clark. And,
yeah,
that's us.
Yep.
And if she was what needs to be bring notoriety to the university outside of the country, that's great.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about, Keith, you want to talk about the new logo?
Yeah. So the original logo, the blue and red and white, which was just kind of thrown together, hobnobbed at the last minute, was just something I come up with that was, suits the purpose, but it really wasn't us. So I reached out to a friend of mine who is actually a friend of my oldest boys, and grew up with him, and pretty much was like a third kid for us. And he just recently got married, and his wife's a graphics designer. So I asked her if she would redesign our logo for us. And what you see is the new logo. You'll see at the beginning of this video, black and gold colors, which is more us. And it's a slicker, more professional design, and I really, really like it. I'm really impressed with it.
It is nice. I have actually seen it, and it is nice. It's slick. It's clean. It's kind of more us. Now, did you want to mention anything about that we may be doing shirts in the future or not? Or we leave that as a surprise? Well,
yeah, I've reached out to a vendor to work on some shirts. Haven't heard anything back since I sent the new design to him, which was just a couple of days ago. As you know, we just got the design, I think, Wednesday. And I had to put together a new intro, new outro, everything else. Change all the branding that we had on everything. So not like most people are really going to pay that much attention to it. But to me, that's kind of an important thing. So
I don't even know what it is, and I'm excited to see it.
Well, it is definitely got some classic designs from the original logo, but it is more it's more sleek, I'd say, and it's definitely more Hawkeye centric. Definitely the colors.
Wonderful.
But we plan to eventually do some shirts, maybe some coolers, like hand coolers or something. Just something to get the people
the short
something. Yeah, nothing
short run.
Nothing we're going to do anything to make profit off of or anything like that. That's not what we're in this for.
No, Keith, every good Hawk fan needs a canned koozie, so I hope you got some.
Yeah, I've got some designs for Christmas that I've got in mind for at least for the family, if nothing else. So, yeah, that's the new logo, and I hope everybody likes it. I know I certainly do.
Do we want to move forward and just talk about the question of the week from last week?
Sure. Yeah. Last week we had the question of the week, which was, when was the last time Iowa played Troy? If you watched the ball game at all, you got the answer to that. We did have a couple of people say that this is the first time they played, and Interestingly enough, this is the first time Iowa has played a team from Alabama, which, I guess isn't that surprising when you consider, I guess there's 6 universities in Alabama now: South Alabama, Auburn, UAB, Troy, and that might be it. Might be just 5 that are the major universities that are D1 at least. So, maybe a surprise to some people, not a surprise to me. We don't usually dip down into the South for non-conference games unless we go down to like Arkansas or Louisiana or something like that. Typically not into Florida, Georgia, Alabama area. So, but first time we've played a team from Alabama. First time, obviously, we played Troy University, and
that was kind of a trick question on my part.
But you know what? I enjoyed the game. I really did. I know a lot of people are probably going to tell me I'm crazy because we didn't win as comfortable as maybe some people thought we should have. But 17-point win, still a 17-point win, regardless. You look at Michigan. Michigan won by 10 against Arkansas State at home, and they're supposed to be even better than us. It's a matter of who you play, how you play, and when you play them.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Iowa did play Troy University yesterday, and it was 38-17 was the final. Iowa was actually behind at the half, 14-10, and outscored Troy in the second half, 28-7.
28-21 final.
Yeah, 28-21, but they outscored them 28-7. So 38-21 is your final, just so we know.
Yeah, and Iowa actually was trailing at halftime, 14-10.
3
big plays. That's what they gave up. And
exactly.
I'd say if you're going to talk negatives, that's the negatives you want to talk about right there. I rewatched the game last night. I don't know. Some people might say that's a glutton for punishment, but I kind of watched it with a different attitude than I did when I watched it live. Because obviously, you're watching it live, you're watching it as a fan. When you watch a rebroadcast of it or you watch a second viewing, you're more analytical about how you approach it. And I saw some things that I did like. I know I texted you at one point that basically punting it with a minute left, punting on the first half was kind of gutless in my opinion. But I kind of go back now and I maybe change my mind a little bit on that, just based on the simple fact that you tried to go down and do a 2-minute offense, you went 3 and out, and you gave him the ball back. If you did the same thing, you went 3 and out, you gave him 30 seconds left, you still had to kick to that guy again. And you don't know what could happen. You could go down, instead of being down 14-10, you could have been down 17-10, 21-10. So I get the philosophy of just saying, let's just regroup, let's go in down 4. To me, it was a little gutless just because I think if you've got a 6-year senior, you're playing against a non-conference team who is inferior to you. They haven't really done much other than a couple of plays. Take your chances. But, I'm not coaching. I'm not making that money to do that, to make those decisions. And I am kind of more of a conservative coaching style anyway. You've seen that when you're coaching youth sports. And, I'm going to play the odds more than I'm going to play the risk.
Let's dive into the positive before we go into the negatives.
Okay.
Nicholas, what did you see for a positive for Iowa?
Well, first let's just start with Johnson. It's to have a running back with this special and the way the aggression that he runs with. There's been some comparisons to Sean Green. I feel that might be fair, but I think Caleb has his own way of how he's doing it. He's literally trying to drive people. He's trying to get every single inch of that ball to go forward. And that's something that sometimes you just don't see. But then to take a step away from that, look at the other backs we brought in. People want to say, Jasmine Patterson at the end, was it 77 yards? Somewhere in there is what he got. And it was against probably their scrubs or whatever. But still, though, to get him back out and working, 77 yards, and fight internally, that's a huge lift for him for not having played at all this year yet. That's huge for him.
Yeah.
If we can start developing a 1, 2, 3, Moulton, what did he, I think he was up in the 40 to 50 yard range, somewhere in that. That's a pretty good 1, 2, 3 punch, and I don't know what's up with LaShawn. I assume that's something that we don't really know about for a while. But either way, we've got 3 good backs, and Cade, his stats were great. His stats were good as far as that, but just what I worry about is 178 yards. I don't know. I feel like this was a game he should have been whipping the ball and really getting that confidence up. But
I don't think that was the game plan, though. I just think that get the completion percentage up. It was more of a controlled short pass, and basically, as we've said it before, and we've seen it with guys like Petrus, they just want somebody to game manage at that point, and I think he did a good job of that. With his completion percentage and not taking risks. But yeah, I agree. You want to go downfield. You've got to open up the downfield passing a little bit more. You've got to show that to people so that they respect it enough that they can't stack the box or stack the short pass, the short slants, the short out routes, jump on those routes easier because you're not going downfield. And, I think the issue is people say he doesn't have the arm strength to go downfield. I don't know if that's it. I think his technique and his mechanics are, let's say, odd. The fact that he doesn't grip the laces is really strange.
Well,
that is strange.
There's something that was said yesterday on a podcast I listened to that I don't really know if I should divulge it because Don Patterson kind of said well, now they know, but I guess apparently when Cade comes to the line, he's going to pass because he licks his hand. And I guess it's a telltale sign. And so something I have not watched for this yet. I do not know if it's true, but this caller was basically saying that he knew every time we were going to pass by him doing that. Hopefully, I would assume this is out by now. Cade works on getting that addressed. But one of the things, though, Keith, I did want to go back on. You mentioned Petrus and Deacon being the game managers. I think that's fine for their years when they were here, but this year was supposed to be a playoff year. We needed to do something different outside the box. And we had a quarterback, I feel, that could take us outside of the box. That's what I'm worried about. We're running this like we did when we weren't trying to get to a playoff. We were just trying to hopefully get to that Big Ten West title. And I just wish we would maybe get a little bit hungrier on both. Running's fine. Let him pass for 300 yards. Who cares? 63-28, whatever. Smoke them.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about it last week, is I think you saw that after that pick, the first possession of the second half last week, we were on the 42 going in, up 13-0. And I think the whole demeanor of the coaching changed from that point. I think that's basically Tim Lester was in charge up until that point, and then I feel like Kirk was in charge after that. It went back to Brian Ferentz offense, be very conservative, don't play to win, but don't play to lose.
Yeah.
Very risk adverse. And I think you saw that in the first half too. And I think the reins got taken off a little bit more in the second half. Now, granted, we were running the ball very effectively in the second half. I mean, throughout the whole game, really. But I think it you could see the shift go back to Tim Lester calling the plays again.
Yeah.
And, I
think that pass to Caden Brown kind of showed that near the end. That's not something we would do at the near an end of a game, like the way he hit Brown on that one. We wouldn't have done that with the Brian Ferentz offense.
No.
So, yeah, I think you're definitely right on that. Tim got some of that mojo back for himself.
Yeah, I want to go in here real quick. I think there were two passes that I think were noteworthy. The pass to Caden Weegan when he hit him in stride for 33 yards. That was probably the best pass I've seen him throw all year, including that touchdown pass at Illinois State. And then that pass to Caleb Brown you just referred to. I thought that was a fantastic thrown ball. Now, one of the things that bothers me about this whole deal, and we talked about it just a second ago, was this laces deal. He don't throw the ball with the laces, and I just don't understand the logic behind it. If there's something out there that's a brand new metric that says throwing the ball with the laces doesn't get you anything, then, why do it? Well, I've thrown a football basically since I was about 3 years old or before, and every time I've thrown with the laces, I can't imagine taking a ball and rotating it to where the laces are away from my fingers and then trying to throw it. It would seem completely unnatural to me.
So have we looked at this though to look, is his spiral tighter when he's doing this? Can we go to look? Because that's what I'd be curious to know is, can we see what it's like with laces, and can we see something where maybe the spiral comes out tighter. Maybe he's got better direction without that pinky coming off that, or the two fingers coming off those laces. I don't know.
Well, there was a video, and they replayed it. There was a play when they threw the ball over the middle, and I want to say it was a low pass to Lachey over the middle. I think we're going towards the south end zone, and you saw a video of it from the perspective of the receiver. and it came out low, and it was very wobbly as it was coming in.
And nosediving.
It was like, I don't know if it was him. I think it was Lachey.
Yeah, that's the one. I remember that one.
Yeah, and I was like,
just reached down and kind of basically plucked it off the ground.
It almost feels like when he throws the ball like that, it's going to come out low. And maybe that's what he wants. Maybe if he throws it with the laces, it's going to come out higher for some reason. Maybe it's just the mentality. Maybe that's the way he throws it.
Sail on him, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe he just, by not having the full grip on the laces, maybe that's.
So do we know though that was a no laces pass?
Which one? The one.
The one loaded
that was.
Based on what I saw, it was a no laces pass, and I think they just brought it up right before that too.
Okay. Yeah, they had talked about it, that he didn't throw with the laces, and we knew that. We knew that because when they released that footage in the fall, that he was throwing into those hoops or those round circles in the nets, he was throwing it without the laces that then too.
Do you think this could maybe be also? I mean, Lester is a quarterback guy. I would assume that this has been discussed with Lester. I'd be curious to know like what the thought process was getting him to go like that. I mean, it does strike you as odd, but
yeah, I don't know if you talk to any of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now, any of them would say, yeah, I don't use the laces when I throw it. Is there any of them? I can't think of anyone that has ever pointed that out and said, hey, look at this professional quarterback not using the laces.
Somebody was telling a story that they had asked Brady Quinn about this, and I'd have to go back to look to see what the answer was. But Brady Quinn gave some perspective. Now, granted, his NFL career wasn't anything, but he was a Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame, so. But he had some insight on this, and I'll have to go back to look. But I agree. I mean, I've thrown football before with that lace to see what it's like, and it's not. You go to the laces.
It seems like it'd be more apt to slip out of your hand, wouldn't it?
Well, imagine having sweaty palms too. And he doesn't use a glove, right? I guess I've never even really looked. Yeah.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Well, and then that one guy says that he licks his hand when he goes up, he's going to pass too. I mean, but I think some guys also though have just the mechanics. I mean, they said that was the years in Texas. If you ever played as Arch Manning, one of them, every time he drops back, he'll flip the ball in his hand and catch it while he's doing his step backs. I mean, I think sometimes these guys, the mechanics and all that, they just get so comfortable in a routine.
Yeah, they get into a habit of doing certain things.
Yeah, I gotta look at a quarterback kind of like a pitcher in baseball. They've got their own mechanics and nuances. Everybody's got, look at Clayton Kershaw. He's got that little hitch and that wind up that he's got. That's just enough to throw off me if I ever tried to do it, but he does it well. So maybe this is something he's always done. We just had never noticed it before. I don't think you get the spiral off of it. You don't get the distance off the ball when you throw without the laces, but I'm not a quarterback, and I'm certainly not of the caliber that, people can say what they want about Cade McNamara, but I sure couldn't outthrow him. I sure couldn't outplay him.
Well, JD, I was going to say to your point too, when guys want to talk about his arm strength, I think that he kind of disproved some people's notions of that when he hit Gill on that. Was it the first pass where he threw it across the field and hit him over by the sidelines?
Yeah, they played 3 different times.
That ball was on a rope, though, each time. Yeah. They weren't floated and they weren't down in the dirt. I mean, he was throwing. So he can make those kind of longer throws and not have to loft them that can be picked off, or he can zing them in with ropes. So,
yeah, I don't know. I'm just nitpicking.
Maybe it's a simple fact that on balls that he has to get more air under, and not having the laces, he doesn't get more air under it because of that. I don't know. That's where we seem to see the issues with people talk about the arm strength is the deep ball, not so much the sideline passes, which are, as you say, they're a harder pass to throw than a deep ball. You have to throw them on a rope. You basically have less time to get it there. So, I mean, that's as they say, that's an NFL throw, whereas the deep ball, most people can make that throw, and maybe that's the situation. And
Keith, if he would air that out to Weegan and let him run that thing down near the going downfield, then we might be able to have some.
Weegan might outrun
those lofter balls and let Weegan just run under them.
Yeah, Weegan might outrun it too.
I'd open the bank to get Devontae Ross to come to Iowa next year.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what was that? 100 and what was his total again? 170 on 4 catches.
Yeah, something.
77-yard return. So it was, I think he had like 249 yards of all-purpose yards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's David Bell.
Entire offense.
Let's just say those NIL just went.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't even know, is he a senior or junior? I couldn't even tell you.
Pay attention.
Yeah, I didn't
know anything about
see if he's got any eligibility left. Other positives. Let's go to other positive. I've got one. No penalties.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Wow.
0. No turnovers.
For them.
Yeah, 24 yards rushing for them. No turnovers.
We didn't even have a fumble loss that we got back either, did we? We never once seen what
we had the one.
The muff punt.
Buff on the punt.
Okay, all right.
Somebody got on it. John Nestor got on it.
Yeah. Okay. It's the only time we had anything that was even remotely close. And we didn't have anything really close with interception or anything. We had 4 incompletions compared.
Yeah.
The other positive to me, Brendan Sullivan coming in the goal line situations.
Yes.
Making them think a little bit different. They didn't line up the way you wanted them to line up, so you could hand the ball off to Caleb Johnson on that first touchdown.
I wish we'd have rolled that out last week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think about either one of those two inside the 5, you score a touchdown, you're not even talking about a 2-1 team. You're talking about a 3-0 team. And you're probably not even talking about that game being close last week.
Yeah.
No. I mean, if Iowa would have stacked up 21 on them last week, I don't care what we would have done. Iowa State, they would have been so defeated and only going into that. I think my positive, I'm going to go with Keith on this, and that is not only bringing in Sullivan. And as anybody that knows me on Facebook or on the podcast, I would usually not want to ever give Kirk his due kudos. The fact that he actually was willing to try something different. I will not label it Kirk 4.0, but I'm going to say at least the mind is open a little bit to where we don't have to always go with one quarterback through hell and back. He gave it to Sullivan. They have confidence in Sullivan, and Sullivan produced. And that's the biggest thing. So hats off to Kirk for wanting to change. Hats off to Sullivan for doing. I mean, I'll tell you what, fellas, he looked very confident in himself. When they called that timeout, he jogged over to that sideline. There was a confidence that was beaming from him off that. Just to look at him on TV, he's going to be something special at some point in life.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe the negative of that is just, I don't want him to get into a routine of it just being a goal line situation or a red zone thing. I'd like to see him bring him in, as a change of pace. We talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on air last week or if we talked about it off the air. Was sometimes letting, when Cade has a 3 and out or he has a poor series, not pulling him out just because he has a poor series, but to say, hey, let's regroup. Let's give you an extra time to look at something from the outside perspective of somebody else doing it. Because you can look at an iPad all you want, but that's not telling you what live game reps really look like when you're seeing it when somebody else is doing it. Give them a chance to reset at some point. That might do both of them good.
Could you guys imagine if we went back and did some of the stuff like I think it was Arkansas did back in the day with when they had, was it Cadillac Williams? And they had another quarterback there. Why not let him come in and run a wild play just to get the defense off balance? And maybe when Cade comes back out, like say they do that 2 plays in a row, bring Cade back out. That field may look 2 times bigger to him, and those receivers might look like they're 10 feet tall. And he's basically just thrown to open guys. I mean, right now there's nothing wrong with change. I mean, we gotta start winning, but we gotta start winning big if we really want to have consideration in a playoff. It's got to be sexy at this point moving forward. I'm sorry, it's got to be.
Yeah. And we did that a few years back with Tyler Goodson. We did run some Wildcat with him, and then it just disappeared. It was successful too, but then it disappeared. It's like, oh well, that's a little too flashy. Let's back up a little bit. Let's get back to what we are, what people are expecting out of us. Well, sometimes you can have what's expected out of you, but still be a little flashy at times. You don't have to be pure vanilla. You can. If
people can't look at FSU last year and understand why they didn't get in, then you just don't understand the game. Mm-hmm. So, but that's my 2 cents.
I've got some stats here that I think might be important to look at. Now, granted, it's the third game of the season, and we're not, but this is where everybody's at, except for those that have only played two. Like Ohio State's only played 2 games, but Iowa rushing offense is 18th in the nation right now. Where were they at last year? Way up there.
90th.
Caleb Johnson's the number 1 rushing for yards.
Did he get that now?
He's number 1.
Nice.
479
Where's he at for
total
touchdowns?
yards.
6.
He's
Nice.
got, yeah.
6. He's got 2 in each game, but he's had in 2.5 games, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
He didn't come in that first game till the second.
Iowa is 108th in passing, so we'll have to get a little better with that.
Better than what they were.
100% better. But by the same token,
But
the
52nd or 54th overall in total offense right now.
yeah, that could be. I didn't go that far, but I did go with how many points per game we're averaging, which is 32.3, and that is 62nd nationally.
And that's what we've asked. That's all we've asked as fans is to be 70th or better in offense. That's with the defense that you've got now. That's problematic with the way yesterday went.
Fellas, I think inside the top 100, a lot of fans would be happy. So this is actually a bonus.
So we are 13.7 points against. That's 33rd nationally. And we are 29th in total defense.
Which is not where we want to be.
Not where we want to be.
That's not elite.
We're number 5 in yards allowed rushing at 56.3. And yesterday we punted for an average of 49.3. That's always important with punting is winning podcasts. Know how their punters doing. So I thought that was pretty good considering last week they were at 40 and he's at 49.
Yeah.
And I see way too many people that are down on him already saying, "Oh, he's not going to be Troy Taylor." I'm sorry.
I don't know how people
senior.
Right.
He wasn't Troy Taylor that he is now when he was a freshman.
I honestly feel bad for him because you knew this was going to happen. All the people that are like, "Whoa, Troy," it's like Troy Taylor had how many years in the program to get this established? Like, he's a freshman. Let him go. Once it clicks, it's going to click, and you're probably going to not even remember Troy Taylor when you think of him.
Right.
It's just like saying, "Well, Mac Jones isn't Tom Brady." Of course, it's not.
Yeah.
Was Tom Brady when he first came into the league? No.
The Tom Brady I knew that came into the league when we watched him up there in Michigan, I would have suggested what he turned into. Yeah. What he turned into. It's wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's for another time.
I do have 2 more, actually 3 more positives. All the extra points and all the field goals have been just literally straight down the middle. You couldn't divide it any better between the goalposts. Every one. Nothing's been a situation where it's squeaked through barely, but got it, or just barely made it over the goalpost. So everything's been perfect as far as extra points and field goals. So, he worked hard in the offseason, and you can kind of tell that. Brian Allen and Ethan Herkett both had fantastic games yesterday on defense, especially Brian Allen. I thought in that one series in the third or fourth quarter, third quarter, he just dominated.
Well,
any thoughts on that?
Max Llewellyn in there as well.
Yeah.
Very efficient, very good.
Yeah, it's nice to see the defensive line get some pub. I know that Aaron Graves had some good. The first game had a couple 3 sacks, I think, and then you didn't see much out of them out of the Iowa State game. But then yesterday you kind of saw them come back and assert themselves a little bit. So it was nice to see that.
I have one other positive as well.
Go ahead.
20 completions to 10 different receivers.
There you go.
That's spreading the ball around and keeping people involved. That also means people are getting open too. I think that's the biggest issue we've had with the quarterback play is like I don't know if it's the route concepts or if it's players or what it was, but they just weren't getting open. And I don't know if it was they were missing them because when they were open, sometimes, that happens. We've seen that in the Iowa State game where the Gill was wide open in the corner and they missed him.
Yeah.
That happens. It happens. We see that in the pros too. Prior to this year, I think it's just the guys weren't getting open. And it was, I don't know if it's, like I said, it was the route concepts or the route trees or what, but seeing them get open more and having those over the middle, doing to other teams what has been done to us over the course of the last 20 plus years, which is quick slants over the middle. That's how Purdue beat us so much every year. Just quick slants over the middle. Take what you give them. And they were just willing to say, oh, yeah, we'll take those 8-10 yard slants. We aren't doing that. And I think it is a travesty that we're not.
Well, one of the things that I saw yesterday that I really had not seen for a long time was that sit down route by Caleb Brown. When he just went out about 13 to 15 yards and just sat down in the middle of the zone, and they hit him basically as he turned around, which was perfect. You didn't see that from Iowa in the last 2 or 3 years. You just never saw that. I mean, you may saw that attempted, but you never saw it completed.
The timing was never good.
Right.
I honestly don't think we had a quarterback.
I don't think we had an offensive line to back up either.
Yeah, I don't think it was a combination of all. It's quite a set.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair to, we didn't have the quarterback play that we have now. I mean, we're obviously in a way better position than we were 2 years ago. But let's call it the way it is. The offensive line didn't do them any favors either.
Yeah.
They had their shortcomings. The quarterbacks had their shortcomings. The offensive line just made it enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
Their immobility was their biggest shortcoming, and they weren't holding them back long enough for them to even make their dropbacks sometimes. So I don't put it all on the quarterbacks. They're bad. They were bad, but they weren't. It wasn't all their fault.
I do have a question for you guys, and it's more of a quiz than a question. I rewatched the game just like you did, Keith. This morning I watched it, and I sat down and I took notes. How many, this is a question. Answer if you don't want to answer, that's fine. How many plays outside of the 2 long passes that Troy had, which didn't originate in Iowa territory, by the way, how many plays originated for Troy in Iowa territory? On Iowa's side of the 50, how many times did Troy snap the ball?
I said maybe 6.
I was gonna go with a series, so 3, and then they punt, so 4. Yeah,
4 times, and they never got past the 44-yard line. Now you take those 2 long passes out, 38-7.
38-7, and they had maybe 150 yards.
Right. Now, this is going to segue right into our negatives. So if you guys want to hit negative real quick, go ahead.
Keith, I'll let you start. Go ahead.
All right. Biggest negative I saw was I thought, okay, so a lot of people are going to put the blame on TJ Hall. And the first one, yes, I would say definitely was him. The second one was probably more on Clint Schultz. That when you're playing in the zone like that, and that cornerback is sitting on those shorter routes, he's looking for help over the top. And that, I don't know if, and I guess I really shouldn't say that it's on Clint Schulte. I think it was the route concept was actually very, very good from Troy that caused that. Because when you're in that cover 2 like that, or the cover 1, when he goes over to cover that area in the zone, he's not looking to play man-to-man. He's looking for that safety help over the top. Well, they had basically a Y scissors route that ran on that took the safety to the middle of the field. Problem is Schulte went to the middle, but the other safety was coming to the middle as well. So you had 2 guys covering 1, and then you had a corner that was sitting on a short route that got beat over the top. And I mean, the first one, yeah, definitely was on TJ Hall. He was completely out of position. He got his hips turned wrong. But I think that one was more a better concept of offensive play than it was anything else. And maybe the safety taking the wrong read on that. He still got beat, and he still should have been maybe in better positions but I don't put that one on TJ Hall as much.
Well, Iowa's given up 3 of those long plays, 2 to Troy, 1 to Iowa State. Did you ever remember Iowa giving up a pass of 75 yards in the last 5 years? Especially having 3 of them in a game and a half. Something's going to have to get fixed. Something's going to have to get fixed here. And I would have thought after last week's 75-yard bomb, 1 play, they would have got it fixed. But then they turn around and doubled down this weekend and let it happen twice. I don't know. Something's going to have to change. Either we're going to have to get some different people in there. We're going to have to figure something out. That's, and I know Phil Parker will get it worked on, but you would have thought after this week that they would have been ultra focused on stuff like that because they've been burned on it. And they just didn't seem to get it through their heads this time that this could happen.
You know, and watching those plays, my first reaction was Adam shaded James Hardy.
Oh, yeah, James Hardy had a game against Iowa.
Pretty much everybody that Iowa put in the secondary, even Desmond King. You know, it's just, I don't know. I think it's the fact that you've got a young corner on one side that doesn't have a lot of experience. You probably need to give him a little bit more help from the safeties. And they're expecting him to be a little better than he is right now, I think. And if that's the case, then maybe that's somebody that you feel more comfortable with, or you should be. Why not throw John Nestor out there?
Yeah, I agree. We could drop into a dime package, but you don't know every day, every play what they're going to do. This was what was second down and 10. You don't think they're going to go over the top on that, but they did, and you know you can't prepare for that.
Well, the last one was it on 3rd and 4?
Could have been.
Went deep. That was when that new freshman quarterback came in.
Yeah,
that's another thing you can maybe say is it's hard to prepare for something you don't know what to expect out of a quarterback because you've never seen them. There's never been anything on tape to watch.
Yeah, but my first goal is Bill anybody behind me.
I try to play the optimist and try to see the positives in those things, but that was hard. And the other negative for me, I guess, would probably be, where's Sebastian Castro been? I mean, he's not been burnt, but you haven't heard the heat-seeking missile like you expected to. You know, on all these plays, it just seems like he's a little absent. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because maybe it's just thrown away from him. I don't know, but he seemed to be have his nose in on every play last year, and you just don't care much about him this year. But that's what I got.
Nick, you got anything? No negatives? I know we could probably do this for half an hour.
I think you guys need to just take a step back, take a deep breath. This defense has won Kirk many games.
Yeah.
For once, they've had a couple letdowns, guys, and they're entitled to it. Believe me, with what's coming up, I think everything's going to be sewing up just fine.
I hope so.
We have a strong disdain for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and I think that this defense will be
focused.
I think focus might be just a kind word. I think just throwing F in front of that focus.
Yeah.
I think everything's going to be just fine. We just need, if you want a negative or a non-positive, I'm more worried about the fact that between the first game, the second, and now the third game, somebody has told Cade McNamara he's not allowed to scramble. And I think that somebody had a game off and is now come back to the sidelines. But I don't like this inability that we have a quarterback now that wanting to take the scramble off. I mean, he needs to learn to be able to run. We have to have a running passing quarterback. Iowa does not put we don't put quarterbacks into the pros. So this whole pro style, Cade just needs to be able to run and pass. And Cade's got to work this game. Defense, I think, is fine. There we go.
Yeah, the defense will get it straightened out. I know. It just seems very odd and very uncharacteristic for them to get beat over the top when that's the thing that they always seem to be preaching is let the short stuff get you. Don't get beat over the top. And it's happened 3 times in a game and a half. But
I think we often need to put we put pressure on quarterbacks too, though. A lot of times quarterbacks didn't have time to get that ball up there. And we're not doing that. So why aren't we doing that? I mean,
well, we tried to blitz a couple times yesterday, and it didn't work out for us.
There's something to chew on. Think about the big plays that we've given up over the last 3 years on defense. You know, we gave up a big play against Western Michigan last year. We gave up a big play against Iowa State last year, and 2 this year. So it's happening to the non-conference teams that we're less familiar with. Obviously, Iowa State we're familiar with, and I think that's more of a by design. They are familiar with us too. When it comes to the Big Ten, Iowa knows what to expect out of each team, and I think they're prepared better for that because we see those bigger, longer plays happening against teams that we are not accustomed to play. You know, outside of the Iowa State, and I think that's just an anomaly. So I agree with you, Nick, that this is a situation where the defense will probably be just fine come Big Ten season.
Yeah.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second with what you just said about being familiar with the opponent. How many teams are we going to play this year that has new coaching staff? I know UCLA and Washington will be 2. And plus, we haven't never played them really on a consistent basis. Who's the?
So
Do we have?
Minnesota's got a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but the PJ's ego won't allow him to do much with him from what he wants him to do. He's kind of like him. He's going to run the show.
I really hope that.
I hope it does get into him because he's been the best thing that happened to us.
We really need to let Minnesota fans know that last year it was a fluke. It was not by you. You did not beat us. And on a side note to that, you guys know the shirts that are going around up there? It's a maroon shirt, the ugly color, and then it's just got a picture of now blanking. The kick returner last year, my God, like
Cooper
Cooper, and it's got a picture with him with the hand up for the waging of the fair catch, and it's like, oh man, like that's a
yeah. Well, we'll do bold predictions at the end, and I have one for that. So,
like we said, Michigan State's got a new coaching staff as well, but outside of that, I think that's it.
Well, Michigan.
Well, we don't play Michigan.
Yeah, that's true. It's all right. I'm just going to go. Washington doesn't look good, that's for sure.
No, they don't. I tell you, Indiana looks better than I thought they would. They haven't played anybody. I mean, UCLA's not very good. We knew they weren't going to be very good.
Two 1AA schools in the UCLA, which I had UCLA winning 2 games all year. No Big Ten games.
And I know we don't play Illinois, but is there something brewing down there in Champaign?
They're doing.
I mean, he's got those guys looking good too. I mean, I'm just really surprised.
The big surprise for me was how poor Purdue looked yesterday. My goodness, Purdue.
Worst. Did I hear this right? It was their worst loss ever at home. I kind of find that hard to believe, but I thought I heard that somewhere that that's the most points and the worst loss they've ever had.
Possible. 66 points is a lot of points to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked. I texted you about it, and I said I'm shocked because I actually had Purdue as being the kind of a surprise team that will be better than you expect, and then they pulled that. And I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, and maybe it was just one of them situations where things just went bad quick, and it just snowballed on them, and that's not really a good accurate representation of what they do. And maybe it's just we had one bad game, and it just really got bad on us quick, and we couldn't get a turn. Well, I know.
But I think the thing you guys also got to keep in mind too is obviously being up in South Bend up until Monday. After that game, you would have thought that South Bend was death stone. They don't know what to do. So those 49 points they put on the half, I felt sorry for any team that they had to play next, and of course it was Purdue because Notre Dame they unleashed a fury out of them.
Yeah.
They had to. You don't get beat by Northern Illinois as the number 5 team in the nation at home and come out and 21, 28. I mean, you score as much as you can.
Yeah.
All right. We have anything else on yesterday's game that we want to talk about? I think we covered positives, negatives. All in all, I was not displeased with how the game turned out. Obviously, the winners are winning. It's great.
Yeah, you take the win.
17 points is still 3 possessions.
Yeah, take the win.
And, you didn't cover the 23.5. Who cares? I'm not a bettor anyway, and I think those lines are ridiculous sometimes. But that we covered the over/under. I mean, that was 39.5. We almost did that ourselves.
Yeah.
This is what's crazy to me though. Out of these big fat mafia guys in Vegas, know to draw a line at that. Seriously, 23, and we get it. It's 22. You go through and you look; they're so right on these spreads, and it blows me away. It blows me away how they know this stuff.
Yeah, that's why I don't gamble.
It's like they went back to the future and brought back the sports almanac.
Yeah. also real quick, and again, nobody's proven this or not, but there were rumors rumbling around in the South End that there has been a private collective in Notre Dame that has been taken up that is trying to figure out how they're going to get Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you threw his name, but if there was one university that's got the funds to do it, so.
And I think that'd be one he'd look at.
At one point, would Urban Meyer step away because it was too tough on him? I'm going to make up some ailment that makes me step away gracefully like he did before.
But if you think the expectation on you is high at Ohio State, which you go to Notre Dame, I don't think it's any different.
I mean, considering that he got beat, they were basically already, they're already ready to fire him.
Yeah.
How much money? I mean, I'm pretty sure Charlie Reese is still on the payroll with them, being paid by them for his last contract there.
Wow.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think we should turn the page and hit Minnesota before we head out?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I've got some stuff on Minnesota. I usually do these things real quick. Minnesota on the season this year, 2-1, lost North Carolina 19-17, and then they beat Rhode Island and Nevada in shutout fashion, 48-0 and 27-0. PJ Fleck is in his 8th year. They are 50-34. He is 50-34 at Minnesota. New quarterback, Max Brosner is his name. He's 53 of 77 with a pick, 627 yards and 3 TDs. He is backed up by Drake Lindsay, who has seen limited action, 3 for 4, 35 yards, and also a TD. They do have a couple running backs. One pretty good running back, one's serviceable. Darius Taylor, 25 rushes, 191 yards, 7.5 average, 3 TDs, and 80 long. He's apparently broke one off for 80. And then you've got Marcus Major, who is 35 rushes, 138 yards, 3.7 average, 2 TDs, and a long of 20. Wide receivers, Daniel Jackson, 12 receptions, 156 yards for 39 long. Elijah Spencer, 10 receptions, 134 yards, 29 long. They do have a tight end. Jamison Greer's 4 receptions, 57 yards, 22 is his longest reception. And I want to talk about their punter, Mark Crawford. He's averages 44.67 yards per punt. And their kicker is 5 of 9 in field goals with a long of 53, which is unusual because he was I think he was the kicker of the year last year in the Big Ten, wasn't he? So it's kind of unusual he'd be 5 out of 9. Anyway, that's your Minnesota Golden Gophers. I've got some stuff on defense if you're interested. They've got Maverick Baranowski, who's their linebacker. He's got 17 tackles, and Cody Lindenberg, also a linebacker with 16 tackles. They've got defensive back Kerry Brown. He's got 2 pickoffs. Minnesota has 7 interceptions this year so far in 3 games. That's kind of Iowa-esque. And they ran 2 straight shutouts, which I outlined earlier. That's all I have on Minnesota. Anybody else have? And we're going to bring the pig home this year. So
after he gets a good sanitary bath.
Yes, we're going to have to hit it with some lye.
I was ready to double down at that point in time, and I think Minnesota might win 4 games.
Yeah, I don't think you take the last 2 games that they played and use it for anything because it was Nevada and Rhode Island. I don't think those are juggernauts by any sense of the word. So when you beat them 48-0, 27-0 respectively, what do you take from that?
Didn't we beat Nevada with Spencer Petras 27-0?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the 2 a.m. game?
Yes. Got delayed so many times. I almost turned it off and said, I'm going to bed. I'll find out what it was like in the morning.
House, I thought, there's no way this is still on. I listened to it at 1 o'clock in the morning on the way home. It's like, there can't be what's still playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I am not concerned as much with Minnesota.
Agreed.
First away game, though.
Yeah, but you've got a veteran team. It shouldn't matter whether it's your first away game or not.
Agreed. And they typically, Iowa does play a little bit better on the road, like when their backs are against the wall.
With the fan base, that's what aggravated me yesterday. Is you can be upset with play calling and be upset with whatever. Just don't boo the kids. I mean, that's classless in my opinion. I just don't like that.
Was it the kids or the coaches?
Well,
it's hard to determine.
Talking the 18 to 27-year-old crowd that's probably feels a little entitled anyway.
Oh, and has a few beers.
Well, I think Chris Hassel did make a good point though. When you're getting paid now, you actually do have to perform. I mean, there is,
Yeah.
there is some truth to that. But I mean, I agree. The booze, especially, I mean, let's face it, Cade does have a very right now very soft ego. He's got to get that rebuilt. So I think it does affect him. But going back to Minnesota, I don't think that there's going to be. I think the defense is going to answer everybody's doubts. I think Kirk is going to finally allow 1-2. He's not going to take the save rate of beating Minnesota by 3 or 2 or 4. I think it's going to be Katie Mother. I think that PJ Fleck's going to know, whether he'll admit it or not, that last year was a fluke and the best team is in Minnesota right now. They won, and we take the fig on. It's pretty much decided by the beginning, midway through the third quarter.
So you're thinking more like the COVID year of 2020, the 35-7 game. Where
so, well, Keith, there is one thing I guess we don't know about each other. The COVID year to me is it was a preseason. Defenses didn't have their guys. But I will say in 2021, I believe they took a lot of quarterbacks out. You recall?
Yep.
I think that starts this Saturday. I don't expect Minnesota's quarterback.
Oh, good.
That's my bold prediction.
What do you got for a bold prediction?
We bring the pig home. That's not really bold because I know that's going to happen. Bold prediction. Caleb Johnson runs for another 150.
Like it.
Bold that really is either. But yeah,
It is
that up to 225.
It is
bold.
It is conference game, and they're probably keying on him now since they've seen him 3 games. So everything gets a little tougher in conference.
I'm gonna say my bold prediction is Iowa throws for 3 touchdowns.
Like it.
Because of exactly what you said, they're going to be keying on the run. That's going to open up the pass in the door.
Now, Keith, who has how many though? How many does Sullivan have? How many does Cade have?
Depends on how many inside the fives we have.
I didn't have a breakdown of who was going to have what. I just said 3 total. I think.
Let's go Cade 2 and Sullivan 1.
I'd say that's probably pretty fair, honestly. And I'd say from a receiving standpoint, I'd say it's probably going to be Jacob Gill's going to have at least 1. And I'm going to say that Caleb Brown gets his first.
How about Luke Lachey? Is he going to get 1?
And
yes.
Yeah, either Lachey or Stringa. One of the tight ends is going to get it. And it'll be Ortworth. Who knows? I think Lachey is a little off right now. After watching that, I see him miss a few balls. And I was like,
Gill's good.
Yeah.
Gill, though, I was one of the bigger doubters that said, why are we giving so much props to this guy? No stats from last year. You know what? I always love to eat my words when it comes to the Hawkeyes, and I'm eating them right now because he is stepping up big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And imagine
somebody
with Sullivan.
So, not to go on a somber note here, but somebody was making a comment that is Anderson been listed pretty much out again for the rest of the season?
I haven't heard that.
I heard he was out through the Iowa State game and probably through the Troy game, but could be back start of conference season. That's what I've heard recently. That he was getting back.
I was hoping his bloodlines would come through.
Yeah, I was too. And I think they still could. But I think with the way the running game has gone, that's definitely given a little bit more. You'll see more play action, I think, this week than what we've seen, because we haven't really seen a lot of play action this year. I think we'll see more of it this week, and I think that will open up some more of those deeper slants. I'm a little worried about, like you said, with the amount of picks that they have on the year in Minnesota, that going over the middle is thrown into congestion, but I still think you got to play the middle of the field more because we don't do that often, and that's breaking tendencies if you're an Iowa team.
I would like to add one to my bold predictions.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Jazzy and Peterson also rushes for over 100 yards.
Yeah, Jazzy and Patchell. Mm-hmm.
I take it.
I'll take it too.
I mean, I think that we've got to get going for Ohio State. I mean, I know we got a bye week coming up, so we can't but we got to start getting guys that are starting to play their outside shoulders fast when they get ball cocky. We're going to need that going into this year.
And I think the two running backs that are going to get the most play against Minnesota are going to be Caleb Johnson and Jazz Patterson. Because I think Kamari Moulton got hurt a little bit.
Yeah, and we don't know what's up with the
I don't think he's healthy at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Or at least he hasn't shown it the way he's running.
Right. Quick rundown of what do you guys think of the overall college football landscape yesterday? The only thing I could think of is how close Georgia and Kentucky came out.
Yeah.
So, to add to that, JD, so if you caught one of the stats, they said, Kirby Smart had said the last 2 or 3 years, Georgia's first game on the road has never gone well in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Dogs fan, so I don't really know that. I go back and look. But if he said it, I would assume there's some truth. But I will say one thing: is Kentucky underrated, or is Georgia maybe overrated? Actually, was all.
I don't know. South Carolina handled them the week before really easily.
And then you look at South Carolina, and my God, they almost had LSU beat at home and give up a last second field goal. I mean, those are season crushers.
Yeah.
Hopefully not for us, but most teams, I mean, that'll pull the team up after a loss like that.
What about how horrible Florida State is this year? They're a train wreck.
Or Florida.
Florida.
So I think Kirk may have met his twin brother, because Florida State will not get rid of that quarterback. They bring him out every time, and this guy is just not good. Like,
Isn't Florida State
Gundelay,
Yeah.
I can't even pronounce it.
DJ and Galileo or whatever his name is.
Yeah. And isn't Tennessee also firing right now, all cylinders?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tennessee looked good.
Here's the thing about Florida State. Isn't Florida State's coach Jay Norvell?
Yeah.
It's Mike Norvell.
It's Mike Norvell, but he was from Memphis. So that game yesterday literally was his old team coming down to give him a shellacking in Tallahassee and Doak Campbell. I mean, that's when they're wearing, guys, did you see they're wearing bags on their heads now?
Yep. Here's one to chew on. I watched this one last night too. Toledo throttled Mississippi State in Starkville. Throttled them. 45 to 17.
Oh, yeah. Toledo's legit this year.
And then
who did they just have on? Who did they just have on the ropes? Didn't they have was it Penn State? Who did they? They almost beat?
That was Akron, wasn't it? Oh, that's Bowling Green. Yeah.
Okay. All those Ohio schools, I lose focus on that.
Toledo's really good, and
yeah, they are good.
Based on what I saw yesterday, I wouldn't want to play them.
Any Big Ten surprises?
I think it's the Nebraska quarterback. I didn't expect him to come. I mean, I knew he was good, but to come out and play like he's playing right now, I don't care if it's a bad team or not. You're in front of that many fans in your first time. You shouldn't be shelling out numbers like he is, and he's shucking those numbers right now. It's kind of scary.
Here's the way I look at Nebraska, and then JD, you can go. They've played 2 1-day schools, and Colorado, who plays no defense.
Yeah.
Whose only purpose to be on the field is to get Shadur Sanders as many touchdowns and yards as he possibly can. So he's going to give up touchdowns to get them back on the field. I take it a little bit of a grain of salt. Now, if Nebraska does this next week against Illinois, okay, then you got my attention. Because Illinois will be the first legit team they've actually played.
And that's a Friday night game, right?
I want to say that you're right. I think it is a Friday night game.
Okay, all right.
I could be wrong, but I thought they were mentioning it. Yeah. I don't know that I had a surprise. I saw Washington getting beat pretty good. I can't even remember who they played, but they got beat pretty good.
Washington State.
Right. Washington State. That's right. And I don't think Washington State was very good the week before. Didn't they get beat the week before? So I'm not worried. I guess, we talked about Washington earlier in the season about, we don't know what they're going to be like. I had them 6-6 on the season. I may have to drop that down to 5-7. I don't think they're even remotely even where they should be.
Michigan State's been a little bit of a surprise. Now, granted, yesterday Prairie View ate him. That's Sisters of the Blind, but they did beat Maryland the week before. So
they did.
So the only other one I'll say, fellas, is from being right now in the state of Wisconsin. I know they lost their quarterback in the first series against Bama, but that does not look like. I mean, I think that you might be seeing an end of an era of fickle up here. I just know by the consensus of the Packer fans that are around right now, they talk about the Packers. It's not good. I mean, people can say the Iowa fan base is down, and should see some of these other ones.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, Bama gave them
Beat down.
it was
Yeah. Behind the woodshed type stuff.
yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about football related?
Just go Hawks.
Go
Honestly,
Hawks.
make Fleck embarrassed.
Yeah, make him pee his pants on the stage or on the big stage. Let's go with Brian or Keith. You had a question of the week.
Yeah, this week, yesterday, Devontae Ross had a 77-yard punt return against Iowa. When was the last time Iowa gave up a punt return for a touchdown? And believe me, I had to do some research for this one. I had to really dig into some games to look. And it might surprise you. I don't think the person that did it will surprise anybody, but that's the only hint. Yeah, that's the only hint.
There you go.
So,
Gonna have to do your digging, people.
Yep. When was the last time Iowa gave up a punt return for a touchdown?
Okay, you want to finish off with the outro?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you like the content here, like and subscribe to the channel. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter. We have some content on TikTok as well. If nothing else, check out that new opening and the new exit that we have for the podcast. I don't know if you don't like the in-between stuff, at least give us kudos for that. Otherwise, catch us on Facebook as well. You can answer the question of the day. You can comment. We love the comments. We'll answer any questions that you have for us. If you're a fan that wants to maybe give it a shot at maybe joining us at some point in time, let us know. We'll see if we can get you on as well. So
I want to thank Nick for coming on too from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Even though he doesn't live there,
Yes.
he just happens to be
Yeah.
there.
Yes, and I appreciate fellas the opportunity too.
hopefully you don't think of me as too much of a Kirk Ferentz apologist now.
No, hey, I gave them props today, and that wasn't just because I was on the phone with you. I mean, I do wish sometimes there was a little bit more, but hey, he did something I didn't think he was going to do, and I got to give him credit for it.
Yeah. I'd like to see more Sullivan though going forward.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him more in more non-obvious situations.
Right.
Yeah,
Not just a goal line package type of thing. So, yeah, maybe
we'll get there. Hey, with Kirk, it's baby steps, boys.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So
Gotta walk where you can run.
that
Okay.
We'll wrap it up and we'll finish off with a Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.